Shane's Rib Shack Thursday night, football in focus. Back for our last show of this current season. Getting set and roll tonight. Got Dennis White with us. Gonna have some other folk in as well. High Point Andrews football team due up later on during the course of tonight's show. We're also gonna hear from Zachary White tonight. Dennis's nephew is gonna be here with us, talking to Zachary about his football team. We're gonna talk about a lot of football since it is called football in focus. Maybe break down a little basketball to go with it. First of all, Dennis, I know you like to talk about these topics. That's why I bring these topics in. First one we're looking at tonight among our football discussionary purpose topics will be this UNC football game last Saturday against Pittsburgh. UNC had a big lead, second half, let Pittsburgh come back. Then Carolina was able to go back and get the touchdown to get the win, 34-27. And one time the game got tied up, 27-all. Heels had to battle back, but the Heels got the win last Saturday against not a bad Pittsburgh team. That quarterback for Pittsburgh, Mr. Savage, had a good game. And for the Heels, I think for the Heels it was Switzer. Switzer, the return man, had 2 punt returns for touchdowns, had very big additions, big contributions to Carolina last Saturday. But the Heels got the win and had to be happy about that.
Yeah, they had to be happy about the win, but when you look at how they won that game, you're still trying to get into the bowl eligibility, and you have 2 games left.
That's right. Now they're 5-5 and a chance to win 2 more. Old Dominion this Saturday, Duke after that. But boy, like you say, they're in the bowl eligibility category now.
Yeah, they're in that category versus the start that they had coming into the season. And Marquise Williams, once you put in a new quarterback into the 9th or 8th game of a year, you know, and he's been getting some playing time, but now the team is his team. And you got to know how to hold on to the lead as an offensive leader, as a quarterback. And unfortunately, he made a lot of mistakes that could have cost Carolina the game. And then the defense came along, and Eric Ebron and Logan both was great contributors to that win. But as you said, you know, Carolina had a win at one point, 24-3, and then allowed them to come back on them, let Pittsburgh come back after interceptions and a fumble, and now you have a tie ball game.
Talk about a rough week for the Tar Heels. That was a big win last Saturday, and then they had the basketball game, 83-80, got beaten by Belmont. I think that came on Sunday, and got a former North Carolina Tar Heel in the house tonight, Pierce Landry, here at Shane's Rib Shack tonight. Pierce is here. He was with the Page Pirates back when they won the state championship back about 1990, I think it was. Page High School Pirates state champs, undefeated team, I think 32-0 under the head coach Mac Morris. He had Mark Lewis went on to play at State. Pierce Landry went on to play at Carolina. Just a great all-around. Alfred Hamilton Jr., all those guys in that Page team back around 1990, and now Pierce Landry is doing some coaching and has his kids at Caldwell Academy, and he's involved in the local activities here. But boy, North Carolina missing P.J. Hairston, Leslie McDonald, especially P.J. Hairston. Don't know when those guys are going to be back, but they could have used probably both those guys. You look at J.P. Tokido, he went 4 for 16 at the foul, and I think the Heels as a whole missed about 20-some free throws in that game and that loss to Belmont. They've got to get stronger than that. Now they're going on the road here the next couple of days. And again, Hairston and McDonald will not suit up for the road trip as they get set to go. I think they're going toward Richmond. I think Richmond's going to be their next opponent. They get set to take on Richmond next. Still no P.J. Hairston and still no Leslie McDonald. But going back to that Sunday game again, the Heels 83-80 loss, and they got some work to do.
Yeah, a lot of work to do. In these games, it's almost like a buy-in game. You put these teams on your schedule early on, non-conference.
Oh, yeah.
You already in the top 25.
Feel like you're going to get a win.
Yeah, feel like you're going to get a win.
Yeah.
And then a team like Belmont come in, which the game was tied, Carolina was down by 5. They came back, took the lead by 8, and now you only have a minute and 23 seconds to work with to seal a deal. And Belmont Abbey with the
they might have wished they were playing Belmont Abbey instead of Belmont, right. That team out of Tennessee that night.
With the 3-point shooters that they have, and you didn't put defense to prevent it, and those guys hit 2 threes in a row. Now you're down by 2 points. Then they come back and they shoot the dagger, hit the 3, and then you put them on the foul line, and then that's the score, 80-83. Carolina gave that game away within the minutes. And as you said, if you had P.J. Hairston and Leslie McDonald, especially Hairston, you know, the game could have been a blowout.
Yeah, the 3-point factor is big when you get Hairston back in the lineup. They need him back eventually to help them from 3-point range, something they planned on having. Even they didn't know how much they were going to get him this year, how much of his services would be available to them, but they knew they were going to have him sometime. They're just kind of starting to wonder now when that might be. And you talk about how tough it is against these non-conference opponents where you put them on your schedule, try to stack it up a little bit early in the year. Is your team's development kind of coming along? Look at NC State last night against NC Central. Central beats them by 10 points, but went into overtime. A kid out of Myers Park High School in Charlotte hits a three-pointer from the corner to help tie that game up. Otherwise, it ends in regulation. Jeremy Ingram, the kid for Central last night, had like 29 points, averaged 26 a game coming in. I think Ingram might have been with East Carolina, may have transferred to Central, but I know Ingram played for Kinston back in the day, back when Quentin Copels, who played football at Carolina, good basketball player, a lot of good players at Kinston back in those days. A load of guys there back then, but and even the kid who was at Carolina last year, one of the pros this past year, was also out of Kinston. So pretty big battles there. But again, State can't get the win last night, 10-point loss in overtime, and can't be feeling too good about their problems right now. They got a load of problems to work with.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
You don't like losing those games. A lot of guys fouled out last night again in that game, a lot of missed free throws. But boy, State can't be too happy about how things are kind of. Boy, Central's got to be real happy. That's the first time they beat an ACC team.
That is a big for the MEAC, big for Central.
Well, no more MEAC, I don't think. Yeah, Central is the MEAC because that's what they moved up to. Exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah, got the MEAC schedule coming up.
And the thing about it as well, you look at Michigan ranked number 7 going to Iowa, and Iowa beat them. You know, so you're looking at a lot of.
And Iowa coached by Fran McCaffrey, former UNCG coach. I don't know how he's doing it out there, but McCaffrey's hanging in. Iowa's probably making $750,000 a year, feeling good about his salary.
Exactly.
If nothing else, and he can buy a lot of corn out. $750,000 a year. Now, I bet you he's got to be making at least that much. Iowa's a marquee spot. Steve Alford was there before he took off, went down, hit the road down toward New Mexico. He went after that. He's just been all over the place. But yeah, that's a lot of games going on like that now. But North Carolina Central, like you say, remember the MEAC now playing A&T and those guys because Central moved up a step or level
from the CIAA.
Boy, they looked good last night.
And when you look at.
And how about that game? Well, we're talking about basketball. This is football and focus, by the way. We're talking a little basketball night too. But that game with East Carolina and Duke a couple nights earlier, East Carolina had Duke on the ropes with about 3 minutes to play. Had Duke on the ropes.
Had Duke on the ropes. And what East Carolina did was so outstanding was the defense. Jabari Parker, one of the best freshmen in the league right now. The real freshman. And he had his points. But I was watching a Duke team that I haven't seen. They was letting Parker, freshman. Normally, a freshman doesn't run Mike Krzyzewski's team.
Yeah, he and Rodney Hood are pretty much the two-man game right now.
That's exactly right. They're dependent on him, and that's kind of uncharacteristic of a Duke team and a Krzyzewski, because that is not the way Krzyzewski run his organization.
And you got to be liking East Carolina some too. You got to be liking them some since they coached by Jeff Lebo, former Tar Heel.
Former Tar Heel,
exactly. Former Tar Heels. Just had Pierce Landry in here, and then we got Jeff Lebo coaching that team. The former Tar Heels are all over the place.
When the Tar Heels went down, you wanted Duke to go down. That's just the way it is.
That's the way it works. Exactly. You see when the big boys get beat, you want your other big boy to go down with them.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, misery loves company.
Exactly.
Misery does love company.
And then I know and as you said, that we're certainly in the football focus. But the last thing, when you talk about the NC Central and NC State, that is giving a lot of teams confidence. When you look at how these schools, these playing games now, it's going to be looked at differently because you're paying these teams a lot of money to pay them to get a win. But hey, they're beating you. You might have to step down a lower level.
And those teams like Central, I heard the Central coach interviewed today, and those guys going in, they don't go in hoping that they play well. They go in planning to win those games now. They think they can win those games because they are winning some of those games.
And because they're looked upon as a stepchild in the NCAA, but they put 5 on the court as well as anybody else. And that's what I tell anybody. That's Cy Alexander, number 1 belief. He put 5 on the court like everybody else put 5, and his 5 can beat their 5, and that's how he's been so successful at A&T.
Tell you what, a lot of success going around. Quickly on football, back to football. Carolina Panthers, big win Monday night. They're 7-3 now. They won that game 24-20. Had the call late in the game. Was it holding? Was it interference? No call. They picked up the flag. That's how it ended up. But that call has been kind of a controversial source of discussion all week long. Luke Kuechly, number 59 for the Panthers, the linebacker, holding Rob Gronkowski, if you will, whatever. Anyway, he was holding him on the plane. Then they threw a flag, picked the flag up, said it would not affect the outcome of the play, so it was an uncatchable pass. But boy, anytime you're holding like that, you never know what might happen. But again, the Panthers get the win 24-20, and they got to be feeling good about that. I know they love that. They just feeling great about that right now. Playing Miami next. Miami's a winnable game. If they can beat Miami, they go 8-3.
8-3. And when you look at that game, you don't want that play to be black-eyed to the play of the whole night. That was a great game. That was one of the best Monday night games, and that just cast a dark shadow on that victory of the Panthers. But
it also shows you've played pretty well. If you look at Tom Brady. If Tom Brady and the Patriots had to have a play like that to beat you, you've played well that night.
You've played exceptional. That's a very good point. You've played the best that you can play if it's going to come down to the last second shot for you to win against the Patriots, who Tom Brady is known for a 2-minute. When it was a minute and 30 seconds, I knew that the Panthers was in trouble because Tom Brady is
the old saying is too much time left on the clock.
It's too much, and those guys will hurt you every time. And one thing about that official, Roger Goodell stepped in, and that official was fired. So the next day, that official was fired.
So I hadn't heard about that yet. He lost his job, huh?
Yeah, he lost his job.
Wow.
That was on ESPN.
Hope that doesn't happen to Shane's Rib Shack. Something like that takes place back in the kitchen. You hope they don't get a break like that.
Yeah, when you get a chance, look that up. I saw it on ESPN.
I will look that one. That's a good point to bring up. That official is no longer employed by the NFL. Wow.
Stepped in.
I mean, I can hear things like that happening. I can see things like that happening. Such a crucial play.
Yeah, and I had to listen to it over and over to make sure, and that's what happened. He stepped in and.
Have you seen the play already?
Yeah, I've seen it.
You've seen the play. I don't subscribe to some of the media channels. I'm pretty much in a little small GreensboroSports.com world. But asking you about that, you saw the call, you saw the play.
Yeah.
Did you think there was holding going on?
Well,
should there have been a flag? Because if the penalty does occur, that means the Patriots got the ball at the 1 yard line, one untimed play, one play, no clock, boom, they could score and win the game.
Yeah, and when you look at the play, the thing that I looked at is certainly it was holding, but when the referee came and clarified that it wasn't a play to the ball, that he was not, but holding is holding. To me, I always thought that a penalty, an infraction is an infraction. You can't change the rule.
Right.
A flag is a flag.
So if a flag's in the field, something happens somewhere. There's got to be some kind of result for that infraction, that penalty.
Exactly.
Right.
And and I love the Panthers, and I wanted them to win that game. But you hate to see it end that way. But to me, when they showed the replay over and over, Luke was actually holding them, hugging them.
I tell you what, if it been somebody else possible, I'd say, well, that guy's having trouble. But the way he plays so good. I can't really fault him anything because that guy just plays so good and so hard. It's hard to me even imagine Luke Kuechly being the culprit or being the victim of a play like that, doing the holding, committing the crime, you might say, committing that penalty. That guy plays so well. I'm not going to worry about it. I move on. That's what the Panthers got to do, too. Keep moving on. Don't worry about that call. You won the game 24-20. You're 7-3. And I've seen so many plays on TV lately. As soon as a penalty like that is caught, they're going to try to review it. The other team tries to get that snap off as quick as they can, get that snap going, go and get that play in. But, hey, for the Panthers, more power to them.
Yeah, and the play of Cam Newton now is exceptional. Cam is doing outstanding job.
Exactly.
The old coach had a talk with Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera went to Coach John Madden and asked him, what can we do? And Madden said, don't let him run so much. Use him as a quarterback. A quarterback is not a running back.
Yeah, don't run him unless you have to.
If not, unless you have to.
Call so many design run plays for him. Got to ease up on that, all those hits he's taking, right?
Yeah, and Rivera bought into the system of the old ball coach, as that's what they call Sperry, an old ball coach, and he bought into the John Madden system, and it's working out for Carolina. Now they're right now 7-3, and Cam Newton had one of the best pass efficiency right now than he's had in his past. So he's doing real good. I'm proud of what the Panthers are doing.
And they got Miami next. That's coming up on Sunday, and that's hopefully that's going to be a 1 o'clock game. I like those 1 o'clock games on Sunday. You watch the first half, you know pretty much what's going to happen after that 1 o'clock game. It'll probably be halftime at 2:30. Then you go still do something else that afternoon. But looking forward to the Panthers. Miami coming on Sunday. Looking forward to Dudley. Those other Panthers tomorrow night. How about those Dudley Panthers playing well? They got a big game tomorrow night against North Davidson at home at the Tarp, as they call it, Tarpley Stadium. So Dudley home on Friday. They're going in 11-0. North Davidson comes in 10-2. North Davidson winners last week 77-40. Gonna bring that high-powered offense to Dudley on Friday night. Interesting point about North Davidson. They actually knocked off T.C. Roberson in round 1. T.C. Roberson was the number 7 seed. North Davidson the number 10 seed. So number 10 taking on number 2 tomorrow night at Tarp, as in the Tarpley Stadium for Dudley. But 77 points by North Davidson. That's a lot of points. A lot of points. 77 big ones by the Black Knights last week.
77 points. You're right. There's a lot of points to put up on any team, and you're just wondering where was the defense? Was there any defense?
Yeah.
And we talked about the first round. We seen also Southeast put up 56 points.
56 versus 54.
54, yeah. So a lot of points were scored, and you wondered where was the defense. But putting up 77 points, your offense had to be doing something right, no matter what defense, what level you're on. But when you look at the points you put up last week to come into the number one defense in the 4A, I believe Dudley have the best defense because teams have not scored more than 14. So North Davidson this week is going to have a big challenge on their hand with that high-power offense against a tough Dudley defense.
Yeah, and they played each other in a 7-on-7 back in August at Dudley. They were against each other then, and North Davidson's got the good offense. 7-on-7 is pretty much all offense, but that day Dudley pretty much took care of every team that was on the field. You had North Davidson, you had Grimsley, you had Smith, you had Parkland was there that day. Had about 5 teams over Dudley, and Dudley pretty much took care of business against everybody.
And they have been doing it not only in the 7-on-7 but 11-on-11 as well.
Oh yeah, no doubt
They
about
have really been taking care of business. And then the thing that we look at about Dudley, you said to me, and I'll say this over and over about the 5th game in the season, Dudley need to find some offense because Emmanuel Mosley won't be able to do it.
All
so
by himself.
once in that 7th and 8th game, we start seeing the backs by committee, and now Dudley is a legit team for that state title.
And I tell you, those backs will be running harder. You get to week 2 of the playoffs, those backs all tend to run a little bit harder in that second week because they know the stakes are just a little bit higher when you get that deeper in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly right. We talked about it last week. Our new saying is second round is higher. First round, you're in with a 5-4, 6-4 record. Now you have been separated to the next level because now you're getting prepared for 2 more games, and then you have a state title in your grasp. You know, everybody wants 4 more games after 3 more after tomorrow night. You know, you talking about you playing 5-game season now. If you can win 5, you're in it.
Yep.
You lose
doubt.
1, you're at home. So the map is plain and simple now, and as you said, everybody want to win now.
It's going to be fun tomorrow night, too, at Tarpley Stadium. Dudley taking on again North Davidson. Got some other games we'll talk about a little bit later as the evening rolls on at Shane's Rib Shack for this Football in Focus for a Thursday night. And we'll be talking about Northwest Guilford, their big game coming up at home against Richmond County. You got High Point Andrews at home against North Brunswick. You got Southeast Guilford on the road going to Mooresville. You got Northern Guilford. They're going to be at home tomorrow night as they take on Central Cabarrus. Just a load of games. Still got 6 Guilford County teams involved. Mentioned Dudley already. Just talked about Northwest as they fight the Raiders of Richmond County coming to Billings Stadium. Got Southeast again at Mooresville. Central at Catholic to take on Elijah Hood tomorrow night. That's a handful, but Northern Guilford stopped them last year.
Yeah. Northern Guilford stopped Mr. Hood. They was all in his hood, and
they got in the hood and the grill and the radiator, every part of it.
And the thing was that Catholic couldn't stop T.J. Logan, and that was the difference. 8 touchdowns. That's a game you and I would never forget. You know, of all the games we covered, I think that was the most fascinating game that we've seen.
That fascinating game, too, was that a couple of years ago, Northern Guilford, that state championship game against Crest, when they won that game 21-20.
When that field goal came up, I don't forget your call on it. That was a call that they could hear you all over Greensboro. That was a good call that night. He missed it. It hit the goal. You know, the excitement, and we knew Roscoe had won his 2nd championship then.
That's right. And talking about others have a chance to win. Central Cabarrus at Northern tomorrow night, North Brunswick at High Point Andrews. How about this Zachary White? Tell us a little bit about Zachary before we bring him over. Who's this Zachary White kid I hear so much coming out of Allen Middle School, right?
Zachary is an athlete that is on the horizon. And Andy, one thing that you have been noted for in my book is seeing kids when they're in middle school and following them throughout high school. You will come back and let everybody know, I've been on the middle school circuit and I've seen this kid and I've seen this kid. He is awesome and he's got a bright future. So with Zachary being a part of the family, and his football play has been speaking for itself. Very phenomenal young man that is on the horizon. Big for his age. He run tailback, linebacker, play 2 positions. And anytime you play 2 positions in middle school and you start both ways, and you're able to help your team win some games, it must be something special about a young kid on the horizon. does.
I mentioned Shane's on the website today. I was mentioning, who did I mention today? I mentioned Troy, Ryan, and Paul. They can do it all at Shane's Rib Shack. They have got it down pat here at Shane's. Mention those guys today. Dennis, another good crew tonight. These Raiders.
Yeah, another outstanding.
Coach Robbins, I want to hire that guy. That guy will be my offensive anchor.
He's certainly a force. A humble gentleman. Great group tonight. Started off with a middle schooler.
Yes, don't forget Zachary White. Came in tonight, dynamite out of sight. He was in there for the 6 o'clock flight.
Yeah.
Dynamite! Always got to get that in.
And then he's Dennis White, nephew.
That's right.
And you know, and the thing that the high point, Andrew gentlemen, and they're very poised.
Yes, thanks guys.
And their approach, I think they're very humble, and they know that what's in their reach. And I know that last year they blew it. And I think, and you have a whole year to think about what could have been, and in your mind.
And you get young guys that admit they were crying after the game. That's how much it meant to when they lost it last year.
That's a heartbreak because, like I say, you went out on the radio. We thought Andrews had it beat because we had 3 teams from Gifford County.
Yeah, because that score was jumping back and forth, kind of jumping around all over the place, wasn't it? Yeah.
You're exactly right. It certainly was. And to be a 2A program, they are well equipped all the round.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach McCoy, outstanding. We had him here last year. His approach to the 2A, he take it in stride. You know, and I think that when they lost against Central, as I heard the offensive coordinator at the offensive line coach said, that was a game that sparked them to get better. That's the game they lost to make them better. And you have alluded to as well. And sometimes it takes a loss to make you want it the next time.
You may lose that first game and go on a nice big run through the rest of the season.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. You're
they don't want them. They don't want those. But I think for Northern Guilford, I still think those 2 losses by way of forfeit has made them a better team this year too. And by the way, they were at the Northeast game the other night watching Page and Northeast, that Northern Guilford crew that travels together at that basketball game the other night.
And you know, and that's
a lot of unity there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying a lot. Even as I told you with Jake Simpson in the group I saw out, when you see these kids out, the Dudley kids, when I see them out in the community,
I tell you what,
they are
we used
together.
to always see back in the day, year after they got out of high school, P.J. Harrison, Eric Ebron, they would always be at those Dudley Smith games, hanging out, checking out those games.
Always. And it's good to, as you said, when you walk in gyms, when you walk in the stadiums, you see these kids coming back. They're still together in the packs, and especially the big rivalry games.
Dennis, it's a big thing here. The last Shane's for this season, and went out with a bang. I think that big coach from Andrews, offensive line coach, that dude weighs 420. I mean, I can make a NFL franchise out of something like that in that right corner. That's a Rock of Gibraltar.
Yeah, that's certainly the Rock of Gibraltar right there.
420 to me. He's a big man.
He's a big
270
man.
back in high school, wrestling, playing football, played at Davidson, and did his master's, got his master's, I think he said over in maybe in Italy, over in Rome. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that's going to look good on that resume. Where's your degree from?
From Italy.
Advanced studies in Rome.
In Rome, yeah. You know,
Georgia, but for me, he went to the real Rome. Yeah.
Anytime you study abroad, there's a lot right. That'll get you a few zeros right there due to the pedigree that you have for yourself. And the thing that I like about Andrew's program, that's one of the programs that everybody respect. They have earned the respect of 4A, 3A teams. A lot of 4A teams don't want to play 2A teams, like such as the caliber of Andrew, because they know you're going to have to play.
Dennis, let's play a game here, too. Let's play a game going back to where we left off when we had the young Zachary White, a middle schooler from Allen, who joined us in the first part of the program. Just get your breakdown of these other games. We already got a little bit of your breakdown on the Dudley North Davidson game. You're leaning toward Dudley.
Leaning towards Dudley.
And we got your breakdown now coming on Northwest Guilford tomorrow night as they take on Richmond County.
Richmond County, you and I know, Richmond County is a team that is coming, always has success against Gifford County teams. Richmond County, you know, they derailed Page before, a couple of years back, before Page was 15-0. So Richmond County has been that spoiler for Gifford County teams. And the thing about Richmond County that you have to be very careful of as you Northwest, that you're not going to have the run that you was able to run against like you did Page. This is a totally different defense. You're not going to be as fortunate to do the things you've done, so you have to change up. And I know Coach Woodruff is very well-rounded with teams he plays.
So you see it going to be a lot tougher for Anthony Harding and for Christian Dix running that ball against Richmond County Raiders.
Most definitely, because the defense is totally different than the Page Pirates defense. And then I had a chance to go and look at some of these defenses. You know, I'm always trying to see what team, how they play, what the game plan coming in. Northwest will be able to win this game on ball control. If they ball control, you got the clock, and you're able to.
That opening drive of the game last week, they took 5 minutes off that clock. Had to settle for a field goal 30 yards out and led 3-0, but they took 5 minutes off that first quarter clock and the open drive of the game.
And the goal line, the red zone efficiency was super for Northwest, because now when you get in the red zone, you got, as you always say, Andy, you got to walk away with something. And you can't trade 3 for 7 now, because now you're in the final stages of your career as a senior, and you want to make every moment count. And those guys at Northwest is at the final moments now, because they've had 3 opportunities since their freshman year, and they have not been able to capitalize in getting that elusive state championship.
Tell you our big words of the week. A couple weeks back, the key word was opportunity. Just give me an opportunity. I'm going to see what I can do with an opportunity. Past couple weeks, maybe leaning toward who's the franchise player. This week, you kind of take a look at some other things, that situation here. Our phrase or word of the week this week is bring it in. It's time to bring it in. Coach says, guys, bring it in. Let's bring it in and get ready to go for these playoffs. And how about the big go for the Southeast Guilford Falcons going to Mooresville? Southeast liked the road last week in Winston, but they knocked off Mount Tabor. What about the Falcons going to the number 1 seed, the Mooresville, I think it's the Blue Devils or whatever, tomorrow night, and that's Hal Capps. It was Western Alamance, his team up at Mooresville. What about Southeast playing the number 1 seed tomorrow night?
When you go play the number 1 seed and you play the game the week before and you score 56 points, a lot of energy, a lot of heart, then that's the first round. We talked about the first round. It's an easy round. Now you're playing the top team. And if you was able to allow a defense to score that many points on you, 50-plus points, now you're going to get the number 1 team. And if the team that you played last week, Tarboro, scored that much, what does number 1 offense in the league can do to your number 1 team? See, they're not number 1 by not having a good offense. They're number 1 because they had a good offense. And so you look at that, Andy, when you put that in the mix, Southeast is going to have a long night.
How about this? So far, you're taking Dudley. I think you're taking Northwest.
Yeah, Northwest, most definitely, yes.
So Dudley wins, Northwest wins. You're taking Mooresville over Southeast.
Mooresville, I think Southeast is going to be one of the teams that's going to exit.
Let's hit the road and go to Charlotte, with the Charlotte Catholic team coached by Jim Otto, with their fine running back Elijah Hood, takes on and hosts the High Point Central Bison, led by Jamel Mack, Jawan Foggy, Jermaine Pratt, and others. Central's on the road. Do they get a win?
I think High Point Central can win this ball game. This is a winnable game for Central if the names you just called. Jamal Mack has been the leader for Coach Jones' team all year long. He has been the catalyst of that team. And the thing about High Point Central, they know how to win, but then again, High Point Central getting some close games, and they also know how to lose them. They have to maintain a lead. So it's going to be the way that they play is going to dictate if they come home with a W. But yes, I'm going for another Gifford County team because they have a clear shot.
Taking Central wins that game. I think they would be set to take on Mooresville the following week, and might be a chance to take on Dudley down the road.
That's right.
We've got to put a W here by Dudley. We've got a W by Northwest Guilford. We've got an L by Southeast Guilford, a W by Mooresville, and a W by High Point Central. Central Cabarrus at Northern Guilford.
You have to stick with Northern. I think Northern right now is clicking on all cylinders. When Northern Group came in here, and 2 years ago, you and I, when we jumped on that Northern bandwagon, they played 5 games in a row on the road, and that was a team that was determined. And they left a seed of determination. That's another word we could use. Northern is one of the most determined teams to win that 4th state, because when you get that, when they got the first one, they got the 2P, 3P. Now they want to do what no other team have done at Northern, that is win 4th state championship.
I don't think any other team in Guilford County has won four straight. I know that Charlotte Independence won 7 in a row back when Tom Knotts, had to remember his name today. Don't get him confused with Dick Knox, but Tom Knotts was at Independence. They won 7 straight. I think he was actually absent 1 year, went to Duke, came back. But anyway, you're taking a W for Dudley, a W for Northwest Guilford, got a W for Mooresville, and a W for High Point Central at Catholic, and a W for Northern Guilford. Last game, North Brunswick Scorpions at the High Point Andrews Red Raiders Simeon Stadium in High Point.
High Point Andrews at the friendly confine of Simeon Stadium. It's hard to lose in Simeon. Only team beat them in Simeon was a team that shared Simeon with them. So it's something about Simeon Stadium for the kids in High Point.
Kind of got beat at home.
Yeah, got beat at home. Yeah. And that's the thing. Even if you're Central Andrews, one is the visiting team, but both that's your home field. And it's going to be hard to beat the Red Raiders at the friendly confines of Simeon Stadium in High Point.
So reviewing Dennis White's picks now as we look back over these, preparing to put ours on the website in the morning at GreensboroSports.com. Dennis has got Dudley to win over North Davison at Tarpley Stadium, and Dennis is going to go with the Northwest Guilford Vikings to win at home against Richmond County at Billings Stadium. It's going to be taking the Mooresville team up at home against Southeast Guilford on the road. They're going to take High Point Central down at Charlotte Catholic, going to take Northern Guilford at home at Johnny Roscoe Stadium against Central Cabarrus, and going to close it out with High Point Andrews at Simeon Stadium at home hosting the North Brunswick Scorpions. All the teams win tomorrow night with the exception of Southeast Guilford. That means Guilford County would have 5 teams going toward round 3 next week. And again, quickly, Anthony Eves, 36 points in the night over at Northeast Guilford. Big basketball game for Mr. Eves. 9 3-pointers at the John Prim Gym. As the Pace Pirates now with some new players this year. Jeremy Harris has joined the team. DeAndre Overton from Southeast has joined the team. And they've got Eves with 36 the other night. Great game for him. Paris Key will be honored for her 1,000th point in her career, which she got in the state championship game last year. Couldn't honor her down in Chapel Hill because you can't stop a championship or a playoff game to honor a player for 1,000 points. She'll be honored at home this Tuesday against Eastern Guilford. Good start for the kids in basketball. Got to take care of that business. We got to take care of this football business too.
And when you look at Eves, he come from a family of Eves that
it hasn't been easy for Eves.
No, it hadn't been easy for Eves, but have a brother at Appalachian State. Dad was a former A&T head coach and a former NBA player as
plus
well.
A player of the year, I think, for Louisville Male in Louisville, Kentucky. Player of the year for the state of Kentucky.
Yeah, exactly right. And Eves can light it up. And his brother was phenomenal player.
Frankie.
For Page. Frankie was phenomenal. Frankie was certainly a player of the game of the week for us. Plenty of time. Yeah, Frankie was outstanding.
Sometimes Frankie's quicker to the. He go to the basket, take it to the hole, but Anthony got that little bit of a hitch in his shot.
A little bit of hitch in his jump shot.
Popping that three-pointer, knocking it down.
That cutback. And it works. It works. Yeah. And congratulations to Paris Key, that we celebrated in her signing, becoming a Vanderbilt Commodore. Great family atmosphere, and she has a bright future ahead of her, my friend.
She does.
She is awesome.
I think she had 17 back on Tuesday to go about 10 to 14 assists.
Wow. And when you put up numbers like that, Paige gave me the following 3 T's that I used, and them 3 T's follow Paige all year, because they come back with the turnovers, the tempo, and also transition game. And if Paige can keep those up, they can go right back to the state. But Bailey Cargo is going to be missed.
Yeah, Campbell Cargo stepped in with 10 points in the second half for younger sister.
Wow.
She busted loose for 10 points in half number 2.
Can you see the 2 Cargo girls? One leaving with 20, other one leaving with 10, and Dad said, both of y'all get over 10. This is going to be a bonus for you guys. And Mom and Dad will give away a lot of good things.
It's like hopping on a freight train. We got a full load of cargo, plenty of cargo to go around down the street.
Yeah.
Dennis family, you had Zachary in. We'll close it out thinking about the good work he's done for this Allen team and the future for Zachary White, your nephew over at Smith.
We're praying for Zachary that he have a good career. He's very smart, and I love the way Don and I always sit back each Thursday night and critique, not in a bad way, of the gentleman that has, as these young kids come and they sit, their rhetorical skills, it's amazing to hear some of these kids speak. And it's just like they made the interview. They're not sitting like an arm and playing with their head. You know, they're very focused. And Zachary tonight, I was very surprised.
He was on the ball.
Of his ability to be able to talk.
He was almost at the high school level.
His mother gave me credit, said that's one thing he get from you is the way to talk. So I like that.
Dennis, we've liked it too. Good season at Shane's Rib Shack.
Enjoyed it, Andy. Enjoyed it, Don.
Thanks, Don, for everything. Don did a great job keeping this program rolling. The Football and Focus Shane's Rib Shack, thanks to Paul and Paul's entire staff. The people at Shane's do a great job. Ryan and Troy and their dad have done an outstanding job building the Shane's Rib Shack. It started just a small shack. They now built this into a very solid rib business at Shane's Rib Shack.
Outstanding. I love Shane's Rib Shack. And another thing, Andy, they wasn't with us on Thursday night, but our interns, they did an outstanding job for us all season, especially with the page coverage when they wasn't with us. L.A. Logan and Malik Williams, outstanding job as well. And also we had another gentleman that was a starter from Page. He was keeping stats for some games.
Jason McMaster. Jason was here last week, didn't come back this week. Had a free meal for Jason lined up tonight. Didn't make it back for that meal, but maybe next time. Again, you mentioned Malik and Malik Williams, son of Buck Williams out of Rocky Mount. Fine photographer, videographer, and then L.A. did those videos for us for the website. Thanks to those guys. Again, big thanks to Don Moore doing a great job on GreensboroSports.com. Give a lot of kids a chance to be seen all over the place by way of YouTube, and just giving these kids a chance to come in and practice their verbal skills before they start doing the interviews on the college level. Yeah, I bet if you really asked them really one-on-one to tell the truth, put a lie detector on these guys. Ask Eric Ebron, ask PJ Harrison, ask all these kids, where'd you get your start at doing these interviews? They tell you, well, that guy with GreensboroSports.com, probably.
And the Durham, after every game, they put me in front of the mic. And it's good to see those gentlemen when they talk, and you're like, I had a part in that. And then the special thanks to you, man. Outstanding job each year in and year out, to keep this going, man.
Thanks to Coach McCoy. Got it lined up Tuesday. Went to High Point Andrews to be there for the signing for Amani Watkins going to Binghamton University up in New York for basketball. And saw Coach McCoy. Been trying to reach him by phone through the school. Their system does not relay those messages all that well to the teachers, but saw him downstairs in the gym. So I'll have him there 6:30. Call back a couple times. Always want to be exactly sure. Hey, those guys walked in at 6:30. Coach John Robbins brought them in. Shout out to High Point Andrews. Good luck to those guys against North Brunswick tomorrow night. We'll be at Dudley for the Dudley Panther game as they take on the North Davidson Black Knights, and having a lot of fun. Shane's Rib Shack, Football in Focus. See you again soon.